Think about the shirt, your shirt you're wearing right now.
Mm-hmm.
You probably chose it because, well, maybe it was clean, or it's just physically comfortable, or you just caught a glimpse in the mirror and thought, yeah, that looks decent enough.
Right, the standard morning routine for most of us.
Exactly. But behavioral psychologists actually argue this shirt is doing something much, much more profound. Like, it is actively dictating how your brain will perform today. It's altering your internal chemistry.
It really is. It changes everything.
So welcome to the deep dive. Our mission today is to completely, upend how you think about getting dressed. We're using this incredibly thought-provoking stack of research titled Fashion with Purpose: Why Meaning Matters More Than Trends.
It's a fascinating read.
It really is. We are moving way past the idea that clothing is just, fabric designed to keep you warm or make you look attractive. We're exploring how what you wear serves as this fundamental, deeply ingrained form of communication.
Both to the world and, maybe more importantly, to your own nervous system.
Yes, exactly.
Because it forces a complete reframing of a daily habit. I mean, we treat getting dressed as this purely functional, mundane task just to get out the door. But the research points to a phenomenon known as enclothed cognition.
Enclothed cognition.
Yeah. This is the psychological framework showing that clothing actually alters the wearer's psychological processes. So it's not just about projecting an image to other people.
Right, it's internal.
Totally internal. It's about providing a cognitive scaffold for yourself.
Yeah.
You are essentially putting on a physical anchor that triggers a very specific internal state.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because to understand why building that cognitive scaffold is so crucial, I think we first have to examine the trap most of us are currently stuck in.
The trend cycle.
Yeah, this endless trend cycle. The research outlines this exhausting, relentless cycle of modern fashion. And looking at the mechanics of it, it's not even a treadmill. I mean, a treadmill implies you're just getting a workout.
Right, you're choosing to be on it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is more like, it's like being forced to constantly download software updates for your social status.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great way to put it.
Right, like you have to keep installing the newest aesthetic patch, you buy the latest jacket or the trending sneaker, just to remain compatible with the current culture.
Yeah.
And if you miss an update, you're suddenly obsolete.
That software update analogy captures the mechanism perfectly, actually, because it highlights the intentionality behind the whole system. The trap is engineered.
It's not an accident.
Not at all. The fashion industry operates on a mechanism of planned obsolescence, much like the tech industry does.
Mm-hmm.
There's this vast infrastructure of trend forecasting agencies and fast fashion supply chains working in tandem.
Just to make us buy more stuff.
Exactly.
Right.
They exist to artificially deflate the social value of whatever you bought 6 months ago. They analyze consumer data. They predict the exact saturation point of a specific silhouette or color.
And then they pull the plug.
They do. The very moment a style is universally adopted by the mainstream, they deliberately kill it. The luxury houses pivot, the influencers are seeded with the new aesthetic, and boom, your wardrobe is suddenly declared outdated.
It's exhausting. And we all know we're living in this, algorithmic echo chamber where microtrends just die every 2 weeks.
Yeah, the cycle is faster than ever.
It really is. And we don't really need to relitigate the evils of fast fashion here. Anyone with a smartphone knows the industry just wants us to keep buying. But what I found genuinely surprising in the research is how this rapid-fire consumption fundamentally rewires our internal confidence.
Yes, it fractures our actual decision-making process.
Right, it messes with our heads.
What's fascinating here is how the brain's reward system gets totally hijacked. When you are constantly chasing that aesthetic software update, you're dressing entirely for external validation.
You're dressing for the feed.
Exactly. You're asking what gets likes or what fits the current algorithm instead of asking what aligns with my core values.
Which means you're basically outsourcing your dopamine loop to complete strangers.
Spot on. Your sense of self-worth becomes entirely dependent on the fleeting approval of an audience. An audience whose preferences are literally being manipulated by the industry anyway. Wow.
Yeah. So when style becomes this performance for approval rather than a true reflection of the self, you lose your authenticity. You're left with an incredibly fragile confidence.
Because the foundation of that confidence can just change by tomorrow afternoon.
Exactly. It's built on sand.
I hear the psychology behind that, and the dopamine loop makes complete sense to me. But I want to play devil's advocate for a second.
Sure. Go for it.
Just on behalf of anyone listening who might feel a little judged by this, isn't it just basic human biology to want to fit in? I mean, from an evolutionary standpoint, blending into the tribe kept you from getting eaten by a predator or, exiled from the group.
Oh, absolutely.
So are we really losing our core identity by adopting a popular trend, or are we just using a very old survival mechanism in the modern social jungle of the internet?
That's a really fair point. The evolutionary drive to belong is undeniably real. We are wired to seek community. But the research draws this sharp distinction between our ancestral environments and the modern digital landscape.
Okay, how so? Well, our brains evolved to secure our place within a stable tribe, maybe 150 people, where the rules and values remained relatively constant over a lifetime.
Right, the rules didn't change every Tuesday.
Exactly. But the internet is a tribe of millions where the rules of belonging change daily. So the tension arises because trying to survive by blending in today requires you to be this perpetual chameleon.
Man, that sounds exhausting.
It is. The framework we're exploring suggests that true survival and unshakable confidence in a high-noise environment does not come from blending in. It comes from shifting your entire operating system from consumption to communication.
So stepping out of the chameleon role and into a role where you are actively broadcasting a signal.
Precisely. You are making the invisible parts of yourself visible. When you put something on with clear, intentional purpose, you aren't just draping fabric over your shoulders to avoid standing out.
You're utilizing that enclothed cognition we talked about.
Yes. You're expressing your beliefs, your mindset, and your vision. You're telling the world and your own brain exactly who you are.
And the research actually details specific traits that clothing can communicate when we do this intentionally, right? Like we can project creativity, discipline, ambition, individuality.
It really turns the wardrobe into a direct reflection of identity.
It does. And rather than comparing this to something cliche like a superhero putting on a cape.
Right, which is a bit played out.
Yeah, exactly. It
Yeah.
feels much closer to a deep sea diver putting on a pressurized suit. It's like an exoskeleton for your mindset.
Oh, I love that imagery. An exoskeleton.
Yeah, because when a diver puts on that gear, it dictates how they breathe, how they move, and how they actually survive in a high-pressure environment. Getting dressed with purpose is basically putting on your own cognitive exoskeleton. It prepares your brain for the specific pressures of your day.
This raises an important question for everyone listening to this right now. What is your current exoskeleton communicating?
Both to the outside world and to yourself.
Exactly, to your own subconscious. If your closet is full of impulse buys dictated by social media, you are likely putting on an exoskeleton of inconsistency.
Which means your brain is receiving scattered signals every single morning.
Right. But if your clothes are rooted in your personal values, like if every item was chosen because it reflects a core part of your character, you communicate stability. You reinforce a self-assured neural pathway every single time you look in the mirror.
Okay, so the natural next step here is bridging the gap between this high-level psychology and our actual real-life morning routines.
The practical application.
Yeah, because I get the theory, but I can also vividly imagine the paralysis of standing in front of the closet at like 7:00 a.m. on a Tuesday.
We've all been there.
Right. If I'm supposed to ignore what is trending and I'm supposed to bypass all external validation, what is my baseline? How do I translate my abstract internal values into, a pair of pants?
It's a great question, and the psychological framework provides a brilliant defining filter for that exact moment. When you hold up a piece of clothing, the most critical question to ask yourself is not, does this look good?
Okay, what is it?
It's, does this represent the person I am becoming?
Wow, that temporal shift is massive. Not the person I am today, but the person I am becoming.
Yes, it creates a bridge to your future self. The data shows we often dress for the person we used to be. We hold on to clothes tied to past identities.
Or we dress for the person the algorithm expects us to be today.
Exactly. Purpose-driven style asks you to dress for the vision of your future. It aligns your daily physical actions with your long-term goals. You are literally wearing your ambition.
It essentially turns your closet into a walk-in vision board.
That's a perfect way to look at it.
But I feel like we need to clarify a potential misconception here. Because when people hear phrases like dress for the person you're becoming or projecting ambition, I think the immediate cultural association is like dropping thousands of dollars on designer labels.
Or wearing a stiff corporate suit everywhere you go.
Right. But the research is highly adamant that purpose-driven fashion has zero correlation with price tags or luxury brands.
Zero. The mechanism of confidence explored in the data relies entirely on internal alignment. not external expense.
Internal alignment. Okay.
Real confidence emerges when your external presentation accurately matches your internal values. Let's say you deeply value environmental sustainability and creative freedom.
Yeah.
If you wear a wildly expensive, mass-produced designer suit, it will actually create cognitive dissonance. It will make you feel like an imposter, regardless of how much that suit
Because
costs.
it doesn't match who you are.
Right. But if you wear a vintage upcycled jacket that physically embodies those values, you achieve alignment. And when that alignment happens, the need for external validation just drops away.
You don't need the likes or the nods of approval anymore.
Exactly, because your confidence is built on identity, not attention.
Here's where it gets really interesting to me. The clothing itself transforms into a daily, physical reminder of your own standards.
Yes.
It takes this incredibly mundane act of, like, buttoning a shirt and turns it into a ritual of commitment to your future self.
It elevates the everyday.
It does. But the practical application still feels a bit daunting. Like, do I need to go home, throw all my fast fashion purchases into garbage bags, and completely rebuild my wardrobe from scratch just to achieve this psychological alignment?
No, definitely not. The framework strongly cautions against that kind of extreme performative purge.
Good. That sounds expensive.
Very expensive. Instead, it offers a very practical, immediate tool to stop the cycle. And that tool is the pause.
Pause.
Yes. The next time you're scrolling and see a trend, or the next time you're in a store holding an item, you simply pause. You run a compatibility test with your core operating system.
Asking yourself that question again.
Right. You ask, do I genuinely connect with the meaning behind this aesthetic, or am I just reacting to the fact that it's popular right now?
So the goal isn't to become some stubborn rebel who just hates all trends for the sake of being different.
Not at all. Rejecting a trend just because it is a trend is still letting the trend dictate your behavior.
Oh, wow. I didn't think about it that way. You're still reacting to the industry.
Exactly. The goal is sovereignty. If a new silhouette or color genuinely aligns with your values and it fits the exoskeleton you're building for your future self, then embrace it wholeheartedly.
The objective is just to stop letting the algorithm make the decision for you.
Yes. Every trend you blindly chase pulls you further away from your own identity. But the pause, that is how you reclaim your cognitive bandwidth.
It moves the locus of control entirely back to the wearer.
Yeah.
And, if we zoom out from our individual morning routines, the research outlines how this shift toward purposeful dressing is actually starting to create structural tremors across the entire global consumer culture.
It is. We are witnessing a fundamental shift in market demands. Consumers are waking up to the fact that a t-shirt is just a t-shirt. It's a commodity.
Right.
Today, the demand is moving rapidly toward authenticity, transparency, and connection. People want to know the supply chain. They want to know the labor practices.
They don't just want the fabric. They want to know the belief system woven into the fabric. The data shows the most resilient brands today aren't really selling apparel at all. They're inviting people into a shared mission.
Exactly. If we connect this to the bigger picture, purpose-driven fashion becomes a vehicle for cultural influence.
How so?
Well, when individuals walk out their front doors wearing clothing that purposefully represents resilience or self-belief or environmental stewardship, they become walking ambassadors for those specific ideas.
They're broadcasting the signal.
Yes. The research argues this is how actual cultural movements gain traction today. It totally bypasses traditional advertising. Ideas spread through shared meaning and visible physical alignment with those ideas.
Okay, I appreciate the optimism of that concept, truly.
Yeah.
But I have to push back hard here.
All right, let's hear it.
Can a clothing brand truly offer identity? Because from where I sit, selling purpose looks an awful lot like the newest, most sophisticated marketing trick the industry has ever invented.
It's a very valid concern.
Right. Like, instead of selling me a trend that expires in 2 weeks, they're selling me the feeling of being an independent, morally superior thinker. Isn't that just a more insidious version of the exact same trap? Are we just buying purpose-washed apparel?
That is the most critical vulnerability in this entire shift.
Yeah.
And the data absolutely acknowledges it. A massive percentage of what we see in the market right now is, in fact, purpose washing.
It's just a gimmick.
It is. It's corporations slapping a feminist slogan or a green leaf logo onto a garment that was made in a sweatshop. It is a total gimmick.
Yeah.
And the research shows that when purpose is used merely as a marketing veneer, it behaves exactly like a microtrend.
It expires.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The consumer eventually sees through the dissonance, the connection breaks, and the brand loses its audience.
So how does a consumer actually spot the signal through all that noise?
Hmm.
How do we find the brands that aren't just running a gimmick?
The differentiator is structural authenticity. It's finding the 10% of brands where the meaning is deeply ingrained in their actual operations, not just their marketing copy.
Like looking past the Instagram ads.
Right. Ask yourself, does their supply chain reflect their stated values? Do they actually support the communities they claim to represent? When the shared meaning between the creator and the consumer is rooted in verifiable action, the movement is real.
And that's where the loyalty comes from.
Yes. The loyalty sustains because the consumer is utilizing the garment as a genuine tool for personal alignment, and the brand is acting as a genuine facilitator of that value. It transcends marketing entirely.
So the authenticity basically has to survive the supply chain all the way to the closet. If a brand actually builds its infrastructure around, say, resilience, and you wear their jacket to reinforce your own cognitive scaffold of resilience, the communication loop is closed. It is a real anchor.
Beautifully said. It becomes a symbiotic relationship rather than a predatory one.
Which really brings us full circle to the core argument of this entire stack of research. Fashion is, at its absolute foundation, a language.
A very powerful language.
And the industry will always try to dictate the vocabulary. Forecasters will always try to tell you what is obsolete. The algorithm will continually attempt to hijack your dopamine loop and feed you the next aesthetic software update.
But purpose and the internal alignment it creates is immune to planned obsolescence.
In an industry built entirely on the concept of expiration, deep personal meaning is the only metric that remains constant.
It's the only thing that lasts.
So what does this all mean for your morning routine tomorrow? Well, it means recognizing the power of your own cognitive exoskeleton. It means ending the habit of asking the mirror, what's trending? Or what will people think of this?
And replacing it with a much more powerful filter.
Exactly. Asking, what do I stand for? And does this reflect the person I am becoming?
The psychological data is clear. The most profound, confidence-altering thing you will ever put on your body is meaning.
I want to leave you, our listener, with a final thought to mull over today as you move through the world. I want you to think about the absolute oldest piece of clothing you own, the item you still wear regularly, the one shirt or jacket or pair of boots that has somehow survived every single closet purge, every changing season, and every passing trend.
We all have that one item.
We do. And I want you to ask yourself, why do you still wear it? Is it really just because the fabric is soft? Or is it because it is the one physical item you own that perfectly captures your core values? It serves as your most reliable cognitive anchor. Now ask yourself, what would happen to your focus, your confidence, and your ambition if your entire closet was curated not by what fits your body, but by what fits your future? Keep questioning the signals you're sending, stay deeply curious, and we will catch you on the next deep dive.